Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I highly suggest you stay all the way through this. I feel this is a very, very important presentation, and as I say with every presentation that I give, really, but this presentation is more of a wild ride. It's fun. It's spontaneous. I had a lot of fun creating it, and it's definitely very direct and raw, and it's a little more lighthearted as well, but at the same time, it strikes deep. It's like I took a paintbrush and I dipped it in some paint and I just flung it over the wall. This is what this presentation is. So without further ado, this presentation is entitled Knowledge, Receptivity, Sensitivity, and Random Candor. Let's do it. There is a trigger warning, like I said. There is a trigger warning. Within the contents of this presentation, I talk about some very triggering aspects of reality, and also I get into topics that a lot of people don't get on and a lot of people don't talk about. And I feel like they're vitally important to understand. If you are to make any change or transformation happen in the world, if we're going to have some type of revolution in consciousness, we have to understand the topics and we have to understand the concepts beyond the concepts that I'm about to present in this presentation. I am persistent in speaking about these topics because at the moment I feel they are most important for humanity to understand. I appreciate every single being who is doing the great work, as we're calling it, and each expression is necessary from the human beings who are sharing their gifts with us all, no matter where we are at on our journey of truth discovery or uncovery. We're uncovering the truth from all the dirt and the grime and the muck that we've covered it up with for so long. Our message, our vulnerability, our passion, our raw spirit is much needed now more than ever. What is also just as needed is receptivity, sensitivity, the willingness to stay open, listen, and seriously connect with one another. I want to hear what you have to say. I really do. I'm talking about the embodiment that we have to possess. The embodiment of true listening, the art of listening, being able to listen and absorb what people are saying. That's the transformative action right there. Not to turn you into an image or try and gain something or exploit you in any way, but just to listen. I am here just to listen. I'm here to just listen. And then when it's my time to speak, I will speak. This is very important. I know, baby steps. This is baby steps right here. This is preschool. And a lot of people say, I know, I listen, I know how to listen, but you don't. And that's why I'm making this presentation. You don't. You do not know how to listen. We're just objectifying one another, and we are turning one another into images, into literal objects, mental constructs. So therefore, we're not listening beyond all the constructs. There's much I want to speak about on the subject of receptivity alone, but nonetheless, I'm going to make this presentation as short as possible. The seriousness of humanity to delve into these sorts of topics is virtually non-existent, and today our attention span is apparently less than a goldfish. Look around. Many claim to be serious about these topics, but it has become obviously apparent to me that these are merely words running out of our mouths which we do not mean. We are merely identifying with concepts, not living. Many people, not just the brainwashed masses, us as well, you watching this video, are you merely identifying with concepts or images in your head, or are you living those concepts and images? Are you living and breathing and seeing what's happening here? I have inserted just like random questions throughout the presentation as well, so get ready for that. Have you tapped back into your childlike wonder, that brilliant curiosity you once were? Not that you once had. You once were that curiosity. That's what we got to tap back into. So have you tapped back into it? You may not agree with what will be said here. I understand. But the question arises, who or what is it that does not agree? What is it that wants to agree or disagree in the first place? Is discovering truth a process of agreeing or disagreeing, or simply a process of sight, of seeing and sensing what is and what is not? I do not agree or disagree. I see. Though truth can very well be discovered through the agree/disagree dialectic, Most lack the awareness to use such a dialectic properly. Most lack the genuine curiosity, the curiosity of a child, the care and the seriousness to get to the core, the root of the problems we face as a species, individually and collectively. Our endless debates, agreements, disagreements, all of it, are only a reflection of something inside of us that wants to be heard, wants attention, wants to appear to be right. That's a big one. We cannot simply face ourselves as we are now. We always have to be right, always have something to prove, always running away from the fact, even if we wear the humble armor. And whatever, if it's humble armor or hatred armor or any type of armor, it's still armor. It's still blocking you from being receptive. It's still blocking you from being open and seeing and feeling and sensing the life around you. There are not enough people who are willing to look at themselves constantly, thoroughly, to see the lack of connection that actually exists between them and the world. We are not genuinely curious about life because we are not genuinely curious about ourselves. This is so true. We're not genuinely curious. Like, what is this about? What is this about? Like, really? Most of us are just following somebody or just listening to somebody or just regurgitating things that people have said that sound good. How many people really, 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 truly live this stuff? Real quick. The human condition. You got these two guys, which represent humanity in the aggregate, as a collective, burning in hell, and have no idea that they're burning. Reaching out for something called heaven, some mental image, some boxed-in construct that they have inside of their mind about what paradise is, unity, connection, enlightenment, healing, love, compassion. But they really don't know, and they really don't want it, because as soon as they actually taste it, it just burns them more. And so they're in this perpetual state of burning, of complete ignorance and non-understanding of what they are and what's going on. And they think that they can just reach this place, this heavenly state of being, without first seeing the fact, the truth, that they are burning in hell and their entire body is aflame. So, I mean, their eyes are completely burnt out. Like, these guys have no eyes. It's very symbolic. It's very symbolic. You got to develop the eyes. You got to understand your burning. We have to see ourselves and see the work that we have to do for ourselves, and the healing process begins. You know, we have to do this right here. But I boxed these up on purpose because this is the way we view our healing, our shadow work, all the processes that we have to go through. They're all mental constructs. All we have is ideas about these things, concepts, images. So therefore, we really don't know what they are because we have no idea how to live. Because living implies living right now in this moment. And we can't do that because we're too worried about what's going to happen in the future, and we're too burdened by the past. So we have a coffin in the back and a coffin in the front. Got a rope tied around our waist, and we're pulling a coffin, and then we're pushing a coffin forward, and we're never present. We're always struggling. We're always striving. We're always stressed. Because not only do we refuse to see ourselves, but we objectify literally everything, and we have no idea we're doing it. So as long as we box things up, we will forever remain enslaved and in chains. These dynamics are boundless. They cannot be bound. They cannot be forced or caged or boxed. They're not constructs. They're not words. We can use words to describe the process, but these dynamics are not words. They're not symbols. They're not thoughts. They're not a product of the mind. We use the mind to be able to reach certain heights in consciousness and connect with one another and connect with ourselves. But as long as the mind is dull and completely functioning primarily through the past and focusing on the future, you're never going to see any of this. No one's ever going to see any of this. They're going to constantly be in a perpetual state of burning in hell, refusing to look at themselves until they take the mask off and face the reality that I'm burning. Face the reality, I'm burning. And now the solution comes through that understanding. The solution comes through the willingness and the action to look at oneself, to face oneself, how they are right now, not trying to escape and magically jump from this place to this place. You can't do it. You have to go through the process. You can't just, so many people think they can just escape into heaven, escape into enlightenment, escape into, all of my shadows and all of my pain and trauma and guilt and remorse is all just automatically healed. No, it's not how it works. There is a process that we have to go through in consciousness, a physical process, a spiritual process, an emotional process, to start to merge back with what we are and build that connection back, ultimately to what we are, which is infinite connection. But look, it's not for me to tell you. It's for you to understand. It's for us to understand and inquire within ourselves. And so these dynamics are not bound by anything. These are boundless dynamics. The truth is boundless. Connection, unity with, God consciousness, all of it. It's boundless. Christ consciousness, the shadow work. It's all boundless. Yeah, it involves thought. It involves, of course, everything involves thought in this world. But to be burdened by it and only come from the past, only coming from a place of memory in the past, you will never escape those shackles that contain you. You never escape that box of chains that you're bound in and that hell that you're reaching to get out of. And you're not turning around and facing yourself like this girl is. You're just suffering and burning, and you're reaching out to some type of light to save you, and it'll never happen. We are not an image. We are not an image. I know these are images, but what are these images relaying? What are they pointing to? What are the words pointing to? What's the background? What am I pointing to? What is all of life pointing to? That's what this entire presentation is about. What is all of life pointing to? We are not an image. Truth is not an image. We are not an image. We are not separate. We all want to just identify with the beautiful and the heaven and the this and the that and the connection and unity and all that. Well, this is connection and this is unity. Understanding that the child's tears and horrors and pain is not separate from our own. It's not separate from us. The mother on the street in poverty, homeless with the child, is not separate from us. Her tears are ours. The massive amounts of animals that we slaughter every single day is not separate from us. Those are us doing that. Those are components and aspects of us that are doing that. The child swimming around in a garbage river or something. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Not separate from us. Not separate from us. When we say, oh, they got it so bad over there. They got it so bad over there. We got it so bad over there. I'm not physically there. I don't smell it. But I can sense it. I can sense it. There is no space between me and this child. There's no space between me and these animals and me and this mother and me and these fires destroying this, righteously so, destroying this environment here. This child in pain, all these cops and all these cruel order followers just, committing immoral actions. We're not separate from it. We're not separate from it. I don't care who doesn't want to hear it. I don't care who disagrees. We're not separate from the dead. We're not separate from the dead flower and the supposed dead. Death is life and life is death. We need to find a new word because it's not. There's no such thing as death. Death is life. And life is death. They're symbiotic. There's no separation between the two. And we are not the image. There's something deeper that's being pointed to here. There's something deeper being pointed to. What is that? What is that? It's not for me to give you the answer to. It's not for me to hand over and say, this is it. No, I'm asking questions because that's the only way we're going to come to a real answer is you ask a question. It's not you look for an answer. No, you have to ask a question and then the answer comes to you. The answer's in the question. Truth is not an image. Truth is not an image. What is that? What is it? What do you see? A mirror? Okay. So what's that say? And I'm sure some of you may be like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. I don't know what he's trying to get at. Well, like I said in the beginning of the presentation, this is a very unique presentation that I'm giving, and I just kind of threw a bunch of things together. And at the same time, there's structure to it, and there's an order. There's an order to the chaos here. There's an order to the chaos. If you can sense and be with me here, you'll be able to sense it and feel it. To understand anything, we have to want with our entire being to understand and be willing to remove anything that stands in the way between us and our understanding. So any image, any concept, any word, any object that stands in our way between us and our real understanding. We are the understanding. That's the thing. We are the understanding. We are the knowledge. But we're always separating ourselves from everything. And that's the problem. How are you going to have a transformation in consciousness if you're separating yourself from your healing, separating yourself from the very thing that you say you want? You are that thing. And that's what we have to understand. Not just conceptually, not just intellectually. We have to know it. We have to live it because it is us. So to continue on the we're not separate from the trash and the dirt and the grime theme, another question. Are we not the dirt, the squalor, as well as the bright, beautiful things such as love and freedom we always tend to fixate upon and identify with? Are we not the ignorant homeless man, the ugly, the insane, the peasant, the uninitiated brainwashed masses? Why do we separate ourselves from one another while simultaneously claiming to be all connected? And no, this isn't some new age thought. This isn't some religion. This isn't some religious thought or dogmatic belief or anything like that. These are real questions that we need to answer and understand. Some of the most enlightened beings, dare I use the term enlightened, came to this planet and relayed a certain message, and no one really understood what the hell they were saying. So these are for us to come to understand within ourselves. It's not for me to give you the answer. I can't give you the answer. It's not possible. Every video you watch, every podcast you listen to, every book you read, it's not giving you an answer. It's just pointing to the answer, which lies already inside of you. Lawrence, I know. What are you saying? Do you know? Do you know? I am. Lawrence Wasson? There is something to be said about the individual experience, but we lose sight of the connection to all when we get fixated on the me, the little me. Is your pain not my pain? Your tears not my tears? Your sorrows, griefs, fears my own as well? If not, then why help you? Why is a human being's most natural tendency beyond all conditioning to help one another? Is it not because we are only helping ourself? Who is ourself? What is a self? Is that not all? Is that not every being, every blade of grass, every human? Every tear, every sorrow, every grief, every joy, every pleasure, every happiness? Are you not in that? Are you not a part of that? Instead of getting lost in vote fraud, Epstein, whatever distraction or breadcrumb they have left for us this time, maybe we can set our gaze on something that actually matters. What if we just cease to pay attention to any of it? More questions. Does it really matter? Does all this really matter? Does it? Seriously, does it? Sit with the question. Don't allow the conditioned aspects of your mind to be, of course it matters, man. Of course, we have to know what's going on. I agree to an extent. We need to be informed of what's going on. But if we can't see what these dynamics are attempting to point to, then we're missing the message completely. If we're just blaming all this and we're missing the message, we're missing it completely. Is it attempting to reveal to us something? Is this attempting to reveal to us something? The secret societies, the hidden hand, the reptilians, the Illuminati, the cabal, whatever you want to call it, the control system, the supposed whatever's taking place here on the planet right now, Nazism, the police state, this whatever you want to call it, demon, and then it's just, these are all pointing to things. These are all relaying a message. These relate to many other things. And so what does all of it, the conspiracy, the dark occult, the Satanists, the hidden hand, the shadow workers, I mean, whatever, the pedophiles, the corruption, the evil, what does it all point to? What does it all point to? Because it all points to something. It's all serving a purpose. Not that Joe Biden or Jeff Epstein or George Bush or Hillary Clinton, not like they're, or Bill Gates, they're sitting at home and saying, I really want to help humanity. Let's fuck some more shit up. No, they're not. They don't know. They're literally like possessed by some type of dark entity. But they're playing a role. And what is that role? Are they not pointing to the evil within? And this is a prime example of how they show you, how they always show us the truth. They always give us hints of the truth, always. And sometimes it's right in your face like this. Does all of this, all the corruption, all the darkness, all the evil, all the destruction, does it not ultimately point to the evil within? And is it ultimately not a reflection of what is taking place inside of us? And I would say absolutely 100% yes, it is. We are the only thing that stands in our way. We are. You got 99.9 whatever percent of humanity who cultivate and nourish and grow and project this out on the screen of life because they live in it. They live in it internally. They're burning in hell. And this is the hell that we're seeing be manifest in the world as a result of how we live internally, how we live and carry ourselves, the actions that we take, the thoughts that we think, all of it. And here's basically the same thing out of a cartoon. I forgot what cartoon this is, but it looks like a 90s Disney cartoon. But this is showing you right here in this movie. We are the enemy. We project it and manifest it in our reality, and then we blame it. So we never see it because we're blaming something and we think it's separate from us. It's not. She's not separate from her. That is her. That is her on the inside. And I believe if I remember correctly, she actually turns into her. But I don't know. Another question. How are we to experience the game unless we play? This image is from the movie Existence. Existen. So not CE like existence, but existence, like the Z instead of a CE. I highly recommend watching this movie. It definitely uncovered some things for me to contemplate. So how are we to experience the game unless we play? This life, if you want to call this life a game. You can look at it as a game, you can look at it as something else, but it's just relaying a message. Again, these words are just relaying a message. How are we to experience all of this life, unless we came into this life to experience it? I think it's something very important to ponder. Those of us that have knowledge, so now I'm going to be touching on knowledge a little bit. There are people with a ton of knowledge but are hardly receptive. They seem to have shut the door on others who do not possess a certain level of knowledge as they themselves appear to possess. All that is taking place here is that they are shutting the door on themselves. I am not talking about refusing to be around certain ignorant individuals who want nothing to do with truth, for the one who does this is generally revealing that they are healthy both spiritually and psychologically, at least to some extent. So I'm not saying like go and hang out with ignorant people that just want to pull you down and drain you. No, it's very healthy to be like, no, I refuse. I do not want to be around people that are just going to drain me. Very healthy. But what I am talking about is actively separating ourselves from others because they are embodiments of ignorance. Listen carefully to what is being said here and reread if necessary. So I'm not saying go hang out with people and go talk to people that want nothing to do with truth and live a completely immoral life. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying when we separate ourselves from these beings, we're shutting the door on ourselves. Question: is knowledge dead or alive? Is knowledge dead or alive? Well, I'll say this. Knowledge of the past, knowledge that is retained in memory, is dead. Thought is memory, is the past. Again, thought has a role here. We have to understand that role. But to live in the mind, to completely be contained within the framework of the mind, we are living in a dead place because the mind can only grasp the past. Thought is the past. So we're literally living in the past. We're not living in the moment. As long as we've just merely retained knowledge and we are now regurgitating it, or we've just memorized words. Memorizing words isn't living knowledge. And ultimately, knowledge is now. It is through the now, and that's what makes it alive. It's always flowing. It's always coming out of you. It's always circulating within you. That knowledge is alive in every moment. It's fresh because it's not just the accumulation of words and symbols. It is now. Knowledge is key. It is absolutely necessary and vitally important to understand how we in reality work and operate. Understanding dynamics such as natural law comes first, for many, in the form of knowledge. This is just one example. But there is a vast difference between having the knowledge of what natural law is as words, images, and memorized concepts, and living natural law, and therefore dissolving the knowledge we have attached to wordless spiritual principles. And these are supposed to be keys. So knowledge is the key. It is the key out of ignorance. It's the key to freedom. But it has to be applied and lived. And ultimately, the knowledge comes in and is dissolved as quickly as it came in because it's pointing to something that is wordless. So let's get into a little bit more of what this means. What is knowledge if one does not live the knowledge? What good is it? What good is the knowledge if you don't live it? Not just convincing ourselves that we live it because we have built it up in memory. Living it in each moment is something entirely different than having it merely stored within the brain's storehouse as memory. It's an entirely different process. Just regurgitating from a mechanical brain, or is your brain and your mind fresh and new and alive and spontaneous and free to sense and feel what is taking place within us and around us in every single moment? That's where true knowledge comes from. The present moment, not the past. All right, dissolving knowledge. Trust me, it's not what it seems. The typical egoic reaction to a statement such as discard your knowledge is that's not right or that's insane. I get it. But really, it is important we understand this. It's really important to understand this. Here's an example of discarding knowledge or dissolving knowledge. We all learn to drive a car. In the beginning, it was necessary to have knowledge to understand how the turn signals work, the lights, emergency blinker, windshield wipers, brakes and pedals, the automatic or manual shifting mechanisms, what to do at a stoplight, crosswalk, etc. But over time, this knowledge merged with us. We became the knowledge. It was no longer necessary to recollect words and symbols to reinforce our ability to drive. We simply just know how to drive now. It's automatic. It is as natural as walking or going to the bathroom. So the question is, do we need to constantly latch on to or be attached to knowledge of something in which we ourselves live in every single moment? Well, the answer is no, we don't. But we've been trained to recollect and memorize everything. So that left brain modality is completely active in most people. They don't know that they can just live spontaneously right now, and everything they need to know in that moment is going to rear its head and it's going to be available. That's how it works. You just have to trust the process and understand. You don't have to think about, how do I go to the bathroom? How do I brush my teeth? How do I do the dishes? How do I walk the dog? How do I walk, period? You don't have to think about that. It's automatic. You're wired to do so. We are also wired to do this, what we're doing here, to understand truth, because we are the truth, because we are truth. But Lawrence, the knowledge of driving a car never goes away. It seeps into the subconscious mind and actually runs our experience by operating through us without us needing to be conscious of the knowledge which our actions are being really dictated by. I hear you. I do. To an extent, this is what dissolved knowledge means. It does not actually get dissolved, but it becomes a part of you, a merge of sorts. So it does kind of get dissolved. It goes into the deeper layers of the psyche and becomes you. Ultimately, you are knowledge. There is no separation. between you and knowledge, between us and knowledge. This is why it is so important to remain vigilant and aware of what is taking place within and around us. Because the moment we are not, and we are caught in front of some really stupid TV show, advertisements, the news, any type of program from the endless slews of screens we subject ourselves to every single day, this is how we get conditioned. And then that results in another program to remove. The programs go directly into the subconscious mind because nobody's home, nobody's watching, nobody's observing, nobody's alert and attentive to what's taking place within and around them. We are too busy distracted, hypnotized, gone psychologically. We must remain alert, attentive, moment to moment, every single moment. This energy is very valuable right here. It's very valuable. What are we giving it to? This is the energy of our attention. What are we giving it to in every moment? Question. There are obviously certain individuals with certain knowledge who are not actually living the knowledge, but merely regurgitating what someone else said in a book, from a teacher, in a video, on a podcast, etc. There is quite a difference between resonance and livingness. Yes, I agree. There is quite a difference between resonance, something resonating with you, and living that resonation. Like living that resonance, living in alignment with what you are resonating with. Oh, big question. This is a big question. What if knowledge is actually a hindrance to many human beings and their sensitivity to life? Well, that's a very, very good question. I completely see 100% that many human beings are completely thwarted and held back by the knowledge they have. Most people don't have knowledge in the context of truth, right? Knowledge of what the truth is, how reality works. But even if they do, a lot of people are held back by this knowledge because they don't live it. They merely have it stored up in their minds. It's just words and symbols. They don't sense what that knowledge is pointing to, what the symbol is pointing to. What is it pointing to? So over time, it doesn't matter what kind of knowledge we have in our brain, in our minds, it dulls the mind over time. It wears away the mind. It keeps it from being open and alive because it's rigidly fixated on certain concepts and images which are not real, which are not present, which are not the truth. It could be knowledge that points to the truth, but if you don't see and sense what that knowledge is pointing to, then you're not seeing at all. You're not living at all. You may think you are because you have the knowledge of how to live, but you're not actually living that knowledge because you haven't understood that you are that knowledge. Perhaps we need to allow the knowledge to dissolve within us, which we have built up in our heads to free our minds, to have an empty, clear mind in every moment, so we may live in alignment fully with what is, living anew every single moment. A death and rebirth, so the mind is fresh, vibrant, open, and fully alive. Gaining knowledge can dull the mind, and attaching ourselves to it definitely does, in fact, dull the mind and keeps us locked in memory, which is the past. And again, knowledge is the key, but we have to be able to use it properly. That's why I said it can dull the mind. I'm not saying it does, but for a lot of people, it does dull the mind, unless you have the awareness to see what the knowledge is pointing to. Try thinking of something new. Can you? All knowledge, in the sense we are speaking, is of the past, but it points to something new, something now, something true and alive. We have to be able to integrate ourselves with that now something, and this can only be done by removing what is blocking us from connecting to it. Removing the dirt, removing the grime, removing the concepts, removing the knowledge itself in words and symbols, in ideas and images, to see what is behind it, see what it ultimately is pointing to see what ultimately it implies beyond words and objects and images and thoughts. Knowledge is knowledge. Knowledge comes through the now. Knowledge. Many people have a lot of knowledge, but this knowledge largely holds us back from seeing ourselves, life, and reality because our minds become dull over time, functioning primarily through memory and not the moment, not the real movement, the movement that's taking place right now inside of us. So here's the process here. We build knowledge. We build knowledge in all these concepts because they're all just concepts. All of these are concepts: natural law, philosophy, the trivium, quadrivium, reality, occult, dark occult, light occult, metaphysics, overall health, spirituality, principles based in truth, the mind and psychology, astrology, philosophy, and astrology and astrotheology. And there's so many more you can get into. I mean, there's countless amounts of different boxes and different concepts and different ideas and different schools of thought that you can go down and you can pursue and understand. But as long as they're trapped in this circle here, which is the mind, and we're not the eyes that are just observing the knowledge and seeing what it's pointing to, and by making these boxes transparent, as long as they're trapped in this mind, then they are actively holding us back. They are. It doesn't matter how much, again, it doesn't matter what kind of knowledge it is. It doesn't matter what the knowledge points to. If we don't see with our awareness, with what we are, if we don't see what that knowledge is, which is us, then we become dull. We become bitter and resentful and rigid and separate because we're separating ourselves from us and the knowledge of how reality works and how we work. And then we apply knowledge. So we build knowledge, and then we apply knowledge. We apply it to ourselves. We understand that it is the self. It is the self. We live the knowledge. We live it. We embrace it. We understand that it is us. It's glowing inside of us if we allow it to. It's radiating from within us. We harness it. We look at it. Then we start to dissolve it. We allow it to dissipate and dissolve. We don't attach ourselves to these concepts. We don't attach ourselves to certain ideas, certain images, because we know that those images are not the now. They're not the moment. They're not what is. They're just an image that points to what is. So we have to understand the knowledge is us, and that dissolves the knowledge that I'm speaking about right here, which is the knowledge of who we are. The pointers, the signs, the bridge to what we are. Knowledge is the bridge to what we are. And once you've crossed that bridge, you take the bridge down. You don't need it anymore. What, do you want to go back out into ignorance? No, you can't. So, I mean, you could try, but it's not going to work out too well for you. It's a natural process. Dissolving the knowledge is a natural process for us. It should be a natural process. You take the knowledge, you absorb it, you apply it, and then you let it go. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Here we are. Intellect plus intuition equals intelligence. And I'm pretty sure this is what Manly P. Hall said. Head in the stars and feet on the ground. That's what we have to embody right there. Not just our head in the stars and not just our feet on the ground like most people here. Most people are, their feet, they're not even grounded. They're so completely out of touch with reality that I can't even say their feet are on the ground. They just appear to be. So we have to merge the intellect and the intuition to form true intelligence, to understand fully what's taking place, to understand fully what is. Question: what is your depth of observation? Do you understand what observation implies? Do you know what that is? You got the observer, you got the observed. The observer is the observed, and the observed is the observer. They're one. So in that is pure observation if we merge the two. But we're so fixated in this society on just thinking that the observer and the observed are separate. Like me and my thoughts are separate. Me and reality is separate. Me and that concept and that knowledge and that is separate. No, we are the observation itself. So what is your depth of observation? It is through knowledge that we uncover the ways to help us connect to all, not just the flower, but the dirt, not just the healthy tree, but the rotting wood. And I must say again, knowledge can be a very limiting factor on our journey if we do not use it properly by seeing through it, what it is ultimately pointing to. We do not free ourselves by getting lost in symbols and words, no matter what they spell out. Ultimately, words are a spell. They're spelling, they're casting a spell on us unless we can see what they're pointing to. But do not listen to me, listen to you. Not just identifying with whatever it is we conceptually think we are, whether that's an anarchist, a freedom fighter, or an infinite being, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or a father, or whatever else you want to attach to yourself, identity you want to attach to yourself. As long as we remain stuck in an image, in a memory box, unable to see ourselves now, we are not free. We must find this out for ourselves. There is no separation. We as individuals may have come very, very far in healing our wounds, seeing how we operate in each moment, watching, reading all the books, and taking in all the knowledge. But the drive to help others comes from the reality that there is no separation between the me and the you, no matter what form you takes. I see you now saying you already know this, but do you? Do you really? What is this you know? It's a question to ask yourself. Real quick. It's a quick look at a lack of sensitivity. So you got the child smiling, big smile with a nice thumbs up, with a nice good old vaccine sticking in her arm. And then you got the individuals in society just listen to the news and giving energy to all these social media platforms, being hypnotized by what's being said on them, can't see past them, can't see through them, takes it all as truth, absolute truth, believes in it wholeheartedly. Politics, being distracted by politics, left and right, and up and down, and coexist. I see what you try to do there, but it's just not possible. How are you going to coexist when you're separate? You can't. Think in terms of separation, you breed disorder, you breed chaos. So you got the brainwashed masses that completely listen to everything that everyone's saying based off their own belief systems. Their belief system is reinforced, and they create this hell that we collectively live in. And then they bitch about it. They bitch about the screen. They say, oh, no, Trump and Biden and this and that and this president and this politician and this puppet and this. When it's just them. It's just them that they're manifesting in physical form for them to look at themselves. We blame all our problems on everybody else, and that's how the control system stays fed. That's how the control system stays intact, because we blame the plane of effects instead of looking at the causal factors and the root of why these things manifested in the first place. And all they got to do is put a little girl up on the social media platform smiling with a thumbs up for you to go get your kid vaccinated because you don't think. Oh, you're just completely embedded in a sea of images and words and conditioning. You don't think. You don't sense it. We can't feel it. Is this right? Is this wrong? Oh, how dare I ask such a question? How dare I ask such a question? These guys know what's up. These guys on this channel know what's up. So let's just give all of our spiritual essence to the screen and then manifest this and then wonder how we got here. Oh, another one. This is more towards the truth community here, or the truth core, whatever the hell you want to call them. Let's just stay focused on the Civil War coming. Again, social media. Whatever's posted on social media, we just believe it. We don't have that resonance, don't have the inner knowing that says that's right, that's wrong, that's a distraction, that's just fear, that's just you trying to buy into the fear. Again, I don't care really where an individual is coming from with their material, even if they say, I'm not trying to promote fear, I'm just trying to expose this stuff to you. If we're going to be exposing all of these things and talking about these things, we need to be educating people on how to see. And if you have done that, then this isn't applied to you, obviously. But it is so important for us to be educating people or doing our best to relay a message of how to see past all of this, through all of this. because we're not seeing. We're just talking all about the screen and what the screen wants us to see and what the screen wants us to be distracted by. And ultimately, what are they pointing to? We're not educating people on what all of this is pointing to. The root. Why does this control system exist? Why do these dark satanic occultists exist in the first place? We're so focused on all the crap that they're always throwing at us. They know who the hell we are. They understand the people that are onto them and sniffing them out. But we're still eating the bones that they're throwing at us every day. And all we do is cover it. We talk about it nonstop. It's like clockwork. Every time a new conspiracy comes out, everyone's talking about it. Every truther, every freaking person that thinks that they got a brain is talking about it. They don't have the awareness to see through it. You don't have the awareness to see through it, understand that you're manifesting it because you're relaying to your audience something that they can't actually comprehend beyond the brain, beyond the mind. They can't comprehend it. So they think in terms of it's going to happen or prepare for it or worry or fear. And that's what creates it in the first place. And on top of that, you're not educating them on the lack of separation between you and Hillary Clinton and you and Bill Gates and George Soros or whoever the hell else is, corrupt monster on the stage. You're not separate from it. You freaking created it in the first place. And maybe you as an individual didn't create it, but we in the aggregate did. So there is no separation ultimately. Beyond it all, there is no separation. So we have to be educating people on the fact that these things, the archon, they're not separate from us. They are a part of us. They are an aspect of us that we are generating and manifesting in our reality to get us to see. So everyone sees this. Everyone sees the screens and this and voter fraud. Oh, it's voter fraud. Come on. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the script. And we're all buying it. Whatever you're watching on TV, all the apps on TV, all the Black Mirror and everything, just giving energy to it. And all I see is this. This is all I see happening. Yep, these are the unconscious, ignorant masses, as well as the supposedly conscious, online, awake truth seekers as well. And seeking truth is a problem in and of itself because there is no truth to seek. You are the truth. So you're seeking out yourself. You're there. You're there. And I get it. I know. I lived it for a long time. But now I'm talking about this because I came out of the seeking of the truth. I came out of that whole mind trap, that whole box in and of itself. If you don't think the system has very cunning and clever traps set out for you, you are dead wrong. And you're just chasing breadcrumbs around thinking that you got it figured out. And then you're propagating it and projecting on everybody else. And they don't know what the hell to do with it. So they just bitch about it too. Oh, fuck George Soros. Fuck this guy. Fuck that guy. Oh, there's such the problem. These Satanists, get rid of government completely. Get rid of all this completely. It's going to be a huge shift in consciousness just magically if we just got rid of government tomorrow. Bullshit. No. We just create another government and another set of masters to rule over us because we haven't learned the lesson yet. So you got to stop feeding the beast, withdraw your energy and understand your sovereignty, and then help others to do the same. And we got to be teaching people how to see. And yes, you can't teach it. Again, you can't teach anything to somebody. They have to learn on their own, but you can help an individual and point the direction that they needed to go. You can point them to the door, and the door is them. They are the door. We are the door. I hope I'm making sense here. I hope I haven't lost anybody yet because I know I'm touching on some heavy shit here. Tyler Durden said, no fear, no distractions. The ability to let that which does not matter truly slide. Wise words. From the natural law principle of polarity, all paradoxes may be reconciled. The Bill Gates, the Clintons, all of these demonic creatures exist because they exist within us collectively. They are outgrowths of ourselves. If we watched ourselves, we would see this fact. No, we are too busy jumping down rabbit holes and chasing breadcrumbs they have laid out for us. The evil we blame in society for all our problems is embedded in the minds of mankind. It's inside of us. It is carved inside of us. We spend so much energy trying to fight the us versus them battle, and we lose immediately because we have torn ourselves in half psychologically and spiritually and physically. Because we are separating ourselves. That's the root of all problems is separation, is the belief in separation, is acting as if you are separate, not seeing and sensing and knowing and feeling and integrating yourself in what we are, which is ALL. It is all, capital A, all. I am not talking about exposing the evil and darkness, for this is absolutely necessary and must be done. But if we are convinced this malevolence exists outside of mankind, and we do not manifest it for ourselves due to all the hatred, darkness, destruction, and chaos seething inside of our very beings, we are wrong on the spot. Us blaming the plane of effects reveals our ignorance. The control system puts ideas out, and we buy into them, breathe life into them, and flip good on its head and call it good. We think in duality and separate ourselves from everything. Even if you think you don't, even if you think that you know that we're all connected, I guarantee you're still separating yourself from something. I guarantee you're still unconsciously separating yourself from a lot of things. We think in terms of good, thus giving birth to evil. We think in terms of evil, thus giving birth to good. And I'm not saying here that there is no such thing. But what I am saying here is the construct of the mind of good and evil does not exist. It does not exist. And just by us thinking in terms of good and thinking in terms of evil, we manifest them, and we manifest their opposite as well. Keyword, think. The keyword here is think. Thought has its place, but thinking is thought, is memory, is the past. Basic goodness transcends duality. It is balance, harmony, true order. It is not a mental construct labeled good or evil, which is what has manifested the tear, the duality in this regard in the first place. So the mental construct, the attachment of the word good or evil to certain things and being lost in that construct is what manifests the tear, the duality in the first place. The principle of polarity says hot and cold, good and bad, yin and yang, they're all poles of the same thing. They're all aspects of the same thing. And so the paradox may be reconciled that they are separate. They're not. Nothing is in this world. They're just different degrees. They're just different degrees on the scale of the same thing. And we have to come to that spiritually within ourselves and stay grounded in a dual universe. You stay grounded in a dual universe and see through it. That's the paradox. So who's behind all my problems? Oh, it's me. It's me. Damn. I don't want to look at that. Oh, look at this guy. He looks away. I forgot his name in Scooby-Doo. So he looks away. Damn, I don't want to look at that. Hey, look, I want a drink. Bring me a beer. Bring me a shot. Hey, what's on tonight? Is the game on tonight? Hey, how you doing? I just want some attention real quick. Where's my pipe? Where's my this? Where's my that? Some type of distraction. You want to go out to eat? You want to go do this? You want to go do that? So I don't have to face the reality that I'm all behind all my problems? What's Donald Trump doing now? What's the news say? What's this say? What's that say? Anything to take me away from what I am. Anything to take me away from the fact, the truth, that we are behind all of our problems. And many people face this every single day, but they don't really face it because they don't see it and they refuse to look at it. They see it and then they immediately turn away. And like we said earlier in the presentation, this entire reality reflects back to you what you are, which is what you are not, so you may come to discover what you are. So what you are embodying in the moment, anger, hatred, evil, whatever it is, it's going to be reflected back at you, so you face it. And then when you face it, then what you actually are is revealed. But don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. This is for you to inquire within yourself. You have to inquire within yourself to come to an understanding within yourself. Another big problem is we listen to people. We're trying to get the answers outside of us from all these different gurus and all these different people on YouTube and whoever else that's doing this work and whoever else is the authority in some type of knowledge. No, you're the authority. You have the knowledge inside of you. Don't listen to other people. Yes, listen to them, but don't listen to them if you are picking up what I'm putting down here. Listen to them, but listen to yourself through the process of listening to them, because you are ultimately just listening to yourself. So they're just pointing to something. Ultimately, what are they pointing to? What is this presentation pointing to? But we don't want to face this, do we? We don't want to face that we're the problem. This is the last thing we want to face. Now, I can confidently say that I, Lawrence Wasson, as this individuated vast of consciousness, does not participate in the manifestation of the evil and corruption running amok on this planet. But I am also aware that there are other me's that did manifest the evil and corruption. So therefore, I have to go. I have a responsibility, a moral obligation to go help me to stop manifesting terrible things in our shared reality. We have to live grounded in the seemingly dual reality, knowing this, not conceptually, not with thought, not in images, not in words, not only within the framework of the mind, not according to our beliefs, our prejudices, what we heard this or that person say. We have to know. We have to know it because it is us. We live it. The knowledge, we live it. We are it. We are inseparable from it. We use thought correctly. We use the mind correctly. The mind is alive. The mind is empty. The mind is fresh. The mind is vibrant. The mind is present. The mind is alive. It is open to receiving truth. It is open to be a vessel for truth. And that's it. And that truth comes in the form of words, and then we speak the words. That's the proper use of thought. Not being bound by conditioning and beliefs and memories. Being completely attached to words. That's the problem. That's why I stress taking such a hard look at thought. I'm not like coming down on thought real bad, but it's really limiting factor for many people. Because many people, when I say this and I give this presentation, many people just go off of what they think they know. They just go off of prior knowledge. They just go off of information that they have stored in their memory. It's not the way to come to an understanding. You can talk about those things, sure, but you have to sense within yourself, what is this pointing to? What is this message relaying? What is this message ultimately trying to get at? It's something beyond the words. So don't just memorize the words. Feel and sense what's taking place inside of you as these words are being spoken, as this energy is being transmitted. We must take all this seriously if we are to do anything about the state of humanity. All of it, this entire presentation, all of this, the truth in general, life in general. We take it seriously. We really do. And not serious as in like this rigid, serious. No, I mean like I want to understand life. So I take it seriously. I understand love. I want to understand how to love. I want to understand how to be free. So I take it seriously. I take it seriously. I don't hang around people that aren't willing to integrate themselves with truth and love and freedom and all the compassion and unification and connection. Understand who they are. I'm not willing to sacrifice my time and my attention to people that just participate in evil and darkness. The whole system is screaming for us to wake up, and we do not seem to be listening. I mean, how bad does it have to get? Seriously. Look at the world right now. How bad does it have to get? Apparently, it's got to get real bad. And I'm still not sure if people are going to wake up. Are we really surprised that it has gotten to this point? Here's something else to contemplate. Think about how elaborately human beings hide their shadow on an individual level. We will do anything, most of us will do anything to not allow our pain, our past, our regrets, our trauma, our shame, guilt, hatred, envy, dark desires, fears, etc. to be revealed. Now think about how the satanic control system works, the hidden hand behind all corruption in the world. Yeah, I say they try to hide their agenda as well. They try pretty hard until one starts to connect the dots. And then we see how lousy of a job they really do. And once you see it, it's just like, wow, it was right in front of my face the whole time and I didn't see it. That's how obvious it is. It's just like, it's right there. It's right there. But what the system and ourselves have in common is the fact that not only do we try to hide what is going on inside, but we are always showing one another what we are doing. You can never hide the truth. You can never hide the fact, the truth of what's actually taking place, the root. And once we see it, and there's no more hiding. From the dark crystal, you got the tear, evil and good, the polarities, which could say they are necessary. They are both necessary right now. Now, the evil has gotten so monumentally out of control. 99.9% of the world is in darkness because 99% of humanity is in darkness internally. It makes perfect sense. So in the show, got the Skeksis, the reptilians, wherever the hell these things are, that have corrupted and hijacked the truth, the crystal of truth, and are sucking energy from it and killing it, actively trying to kill it so they can live forever. And then you got the mystics, who are the good. They are just embodiments of goodness. And they understand that they're not separate from the Skeksis. But the Skeksis don't want to understand. They do not want to understand, and they refuse to understand that they are part of the mystics. They are one because they came from the same place. And then, ultimately, they merge. Once the crystal of truth is put back together, they merge into one. They came from the same source. No one wants to hear that. Really, no one wants to hear that. So once we've integrated and understood the concepts beyond the concepts that I've laid out in this presentation, then we're ready to light one another's torch. And throughout the process, like I said in the beginning of the presentation, throughout that process of truth discovery, it's important to share your raw vulnerability. It's important to share what the process is that you're going through. I don't see enough of that either in the truth community or anywhere in life. It's people showing us the dirt, showing us the process itself, the grueling, hardcore process of itself. That's what we want to see as human beings. That's how we connect with one another. That's what binds us. That's what holds us together. Is that realness, that rawness, not just getting on the camera and saying, "I got all the answers and da 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 da, and I'm a shiny perfect being and all right, goodbye." Nope. It's asking questions. It's getting in the muck. Like, I don't have a full comprehension of what I just even delivered, but I have an understanding of it deeper than my own comprehension is. Right? So it's like I'm still coming to this anew, afresh in every moment too. I still have to constantly contemplate these things and really, and it's like in every single moment I have to come to a new understanding of what this is, because it's not just this dull word that I've attached to my mind. It's not, oh, I've absorbed this knowledge, now it's in the back of my head. No, it's I live it, so I have to come to it anew every once in a while, or every day, every moment. Not through words, not through conceptualizations, not through images. I mean, those things can be useful, but we have to use them properly. We have to see where they point to. We have to see where the words and the symbols and the images point to. And I appreciate your time and attention, everybody. I really do. Thank you for sticking it out through this presentation. I know it was a wild ride. It was definitely a lot to take in, and I'm not the best at staying on topic necessarily all the time, but I'm just here doing my thing, doing my best, growing, learning with you all, with the process itself. Okay, I am the process itself. I understand that. So I decided to get a little funky with this presentation, throw a little curveball, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate you. Remember, apply the concepts and see beyond the concepts, and then you dissolve the knowledge. It's an automatic process. You just have to allow it to happen. It's often much more difficult to try to memorize than it is to just allow it to flow.